When I was 31, I quit my full-time job. That was 7 years ago. And to this day, I have still not returned to full-time work. And I likely never will again. This video is focused on sharing my story of leaving full-time work, including the unexpected reasons for leaving the job, what I learned in the first year after returning to work part-time, and while I'll never return to full-time work unless something really crazy happens. Let's start at the beginning. 7 years ago, I was laser focused on advancing my career, growing my wealth, and reaching financial independence. I would do anything to achieve these goals. Though I didn't realize it then, fear and scarcity were driving my actions. After graduating college in 2009, during the Great Recession, my husband and I struggled to make ends meet. We lived in a cockroach-infested apartment, pinching every penny we could. With my $12,000 annual AmeriCorps stipend, every dollar mattered. Determined to never return to that reality, I threw myself into climbing the corporate ladder, and my effort paid off. Through several job changes and promotions, my income eventually surpassed six figures, all by my early 30s. What I hadn't counted on was the toll it would take on my health. In the summer of 2018, I developed severe anxiety and panic attacks. This led me to take a 6-month medical leave before ultimately quitting that full-time job. While recovering from anxiety, I gained a clearer perspective on our financial progress. What I learned in that period of time changed my life's trajectory. I discovered that we had already reached a crucial financial milestone. Though we weren't financially independent, our retirement savings and investments were substantial enough to fund our future retirement. Through compound growth over the next 2 to 3 decades, what we'd already saved would eventually provide us with a comfortable retirement. This milestone is often called Coast Financial Independence, or Coast-Fi for short. The concept is simple. Once you reach this point, you can coast to financial independence. While work becomes optional at financial independence, savings becomes optional at Coast-Fi. As a side note, if you want to figure out if you've reached Coast Financial Independence, I'll link to our free calculator in the description below. Thousands have already downloaded and used this calculator to assess their financial progress, and so many have reported that this tool has changed their lives. It may just do the same for you as it did for me so many years ago. This new understanding transformed my approach to work. I shifted from someone who was obsessed with maximizing income and chasing promotions to someone who realized I just needed to earn enough. I asked myself a question I'd never considered. What if I never needed to work full-time ever again? Since we'd front-loaded our retirement savings, we only needed to cover our current expenses from this point forward. At the time, we were saving over half of our income so we could actually afford to earn less. This meant that I didn't have to work full-time anymore. So I did something few people in my network had done. I returned to work part-time. And what I learned in that next year surprised me. To be honest, I initially took the part-time job thinking it would be temporary. I assumed that after recovering from my anxiety and panic attacks, I'd eventually return to full-time work and continue my path toward full financial independence. After all, I was still driven by financial goals and hadn't fully embraced this new way of thinking quite yet. But working part-time turned out to be life-changing. First, it gave me so much more time back in my week. During my full-time job, my days felt split into just 2 phases: work and recovery from work. I managed life's other responsibilities only when I had enough energy and stamina left. Working part-time just 3 days per week finally gave me time and space to breathe. I had 2 extra days to actually live my life. This space allowed me to recover and rebuild my mental energy. I discovered new passions and started side projects with my newfound freedom. Beyond restoring my mental health, we noticed another benefit. we spent far less money on convenience items. Those midweek takeout orders and I deserve this splurges became rare. Without even trying, we spent $17,000 less on convenience items in that first year. Let me say that again, $17,000. This dramatic improvement in our work-life balance benefited both my husband and me. With more time for household tasks during the week, our weekends became truly free time we could spend together. While I wasn't sure what to expect when starting part-time work, the results far exceeded any expectations I had. This success gave me confidence to keep experimenting with lifestyle changes. Over the next 6 years, I built a side hustle, eventually left my part-time job for entrepreneurship, and 2 years ago, my husband joined me in the business. Now, 7 years after that initial mental health crisis, we run our own business together. We occasionally work 40-hour weeks, but typically work just 20 to 30 hours with complete control over when and where we work. This flexibility lets us travel for months in our converted camper van or wrap up early on days when we're not feeling creative or inspired. While we earn less than before, our investments continue growing steadily in the background, keeping us on track for a comfortable traditional retirement. In fact, we're now projected to be able to retire in our 40s, though I'm not sure we'll ever fully stop working. I'll keep you posted on that. But my days of working full-time are over. There are 2 main reasons why I'm not planning to return to full-time work. The first reason is that we have enough. We don't need a large income to sustain our lifestyle. Working part-time provides sufficient income, eliminating the need for full-time work. Why work 40 plus hours when we don't need that much money? I used to see money as a scarce resource, but I understand that time is far more precious than money, and I won't trade my limited time for unnecessary income. With our retirement taken care of and likely having more money than we'd need, your priorities shift. But having enough money is just part of the equation. Our lives have truly flourished with better work-life balance. The work we do is meaningful and impactful, and I've come to see that the work we do for the Fioneers is making a difference. You tell us regularly that our content, both on this YouTube channel and in our paid programs, has changed your lives. While this impact means everything to us, maintaining balance remains crucial. We could easily dive in headfirst, focusing solely on growing the business and reaching more people, but that wouldn't be sustainable for us. I've learned that life thrives on balance. Life is simply better when we work part-time. That's our path forward, and we're doing it from a position of financial strength. We can make this choice because of the earlier decisions we made to save and invest. Another reason we've been able to make these changes is because we maintain an intention of flexibility. Nothing is set in stone. So while I'm not planning to return to work full-time ever again, there are a few unlikely scenarios that could require it. If one of those very unlikely bad situations happens, I'll adapt and do what's necessary. Again, if you want to find out where you are on your financial independence journey, download our free calculator to see if you can afford to step away from full-time work. I'll include a link to download the calculator in the description below. And if you'd like to work through this with others, including getting feedback on your finances from us directly, consider joining our Coast with Confidence program. The doors to this program are open for a limited time when this video is released. Check out the link in the description to learn more and sign up to join us. We also run multiple cohorts each year. So if you're watching this video into the future, check the link in the description to learn about the next cohort and join the waitlist. As always, thanks for watching and enjoy the journey.